Portia, inquire the Jew's house out, give him this deed, and let him sign it. We'll away tonight, and be a day before her husband's home. His ring I do accept most thankfully. So, Graciano comes with the ring which Portia, man in disguise, had asked for the ring from Bassanio as a gift from Bassanio for having saved Antonio. Portia comments that the deed spells good news for Lorenzo, who is now going to inherit all of Shylock's wealth, not just what he and Jessica managed to steal. Hello everyone, myself B. Shobarani, faculty in English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence in MYSURU, heartily welcome you for my session 23 for 3rd Sem BCom English students, the play The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. In the previous session, let us have a recap as to what did I explain in my previous session. It's a very important act and scene from examination point of view from this particular play, The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare, that is Act 4 and Scene 1, that is a court of justice in Venice. This is very important. I stress upon again and again this particular Act 4 Scene 1, which takes place in a court of justice in Venice, is a very important from examination point of view from this particular Unit 1, the play The Merchant of Venice. I also explained in detail about the summary of this Act 4 Scene 1. So dear 3rd Sem BCom English students, please concentrate more on this particular Act 4 Scene 1, which I completed in my previous session. So in today's session, I am going to continue with Act 4 Scene 2 that takes place in a street in Venice, and I am going to explain the summary of the Act 4 Scene 2. In this Act 4, there are two scenes, Scene 1 and Scene 2. Both are equally important, but Act 1 is very important. That is the trial scene that takes place in the Court of Justice in Venice. So in today's session, I am going to explain about Act 4 Scene 2, that is a street in Venice, and the summary of the same. Let me move on to Act 4 Scene 2. Act 4 Scene 2, that is Venice, a street, enter Portia and Nerissa. Portia, inquire the Jew's house out, give him this deed, and let him sign it. We'll away tonight, and be a day before her husband's home. This deed will be well welcome to Lorenzo. After Portia saves Antonio from the hands of Shylock, and a deed is made when Shylock fails to abide by the condition what he had made to cut a pound of flesh without shedding a drop of blood, and cutting exactly a pound of flesh, not more, not less. So when he failed that, so there was a condition made that he has to give half of his property to Antonio and the other half to the people of Venice. So that deed had to be signed by Shylock. So Portia says, inquire the Jew's house out, give him this deed and let him sign it. We will away tonight and be a day before her husband's home. This deed will be well welcome to Lorenzo. Enter Graciano. Graciano. Fair sir, you are well other than my lord Bassanio upon more advice hath sent you here this ring and doth entreat your company at dinner. Then Portia says, that cannot be, because when Portia was invited for a dinner, actually Portia was disguised as a man of law. She says, no, that cannot be. His ring I do accept most thankfully. So Graciano comes with the ring which Portia, man in disguise, had asked for the ring from Bassanio as a gift from Bassanio for having saved Antonio. So this cannot be. His ring I do accept most thankfully. And so I pray you tell him furthermore, I pray you show my youth old Shylock's house. Graciano, that will I do. Nerissa, sir, I would speak with you aside to Portia. I'll see if I can get my husband's ring, which I did make him swear to keep forever. Then Portia, aside to Nerissa, thou mayest, I warrant, we shall have old swearing that they did give the rings away to men, but we will outface them and outswear them too. Aloud, away, make haste, thou knowest where I will tarry. Nerissa, come good sir, will you show me to this house? Exeunt. So now let me move on to the summary of Act 4, Scene 2. Portia, still dressed as Balthazar, instructs Nerissa, still dressed as the page boy, to go to Shylock's house and bring the deed for him to sign, giving half of his property to Antonio. So, the Act 4, Scene 2 starts, which takes place in a street. Portia, still dressed as Balthazar, that is man of law, instructs Nerissa, still dressed as the page boy, to go to Shylock's house and bring the deed for him to sign, giving half of his property to Antonio. Then they will have to speed to get back to Belmont before their husband. Then they will have to, Portia says, we have to speed back to Belmont before their husbands come. Portia comments that the deed spells good news for Lorenzo, who is now going to inherit all of Shylock's wealth, not just what he and Jessica managed to steal. So Portia comments that the deed spells good news to Lorenzo. Why? Because who is now going to inherit all Shylock's wealth other than what they stole from Shylock's house. Graciano enters carrying the ring from Bassanio. Then Graciano enters carrying the ring from Bassanio. He tells Portia that Bassanio has sent the ring and asks him to join them at Antonio's house for dinner. So Graciano arrives with Bassanio's ring and tells Portia, that is the man in disguise, that is Balthazar, that Bassanio has sent the ring and asks him to join them at Antonio's house for dinner. Initially startled, Portia recovers her composure. Then in the beginning she'll be surprised because Bassanio had taken a oath from Portia that he will not lose the ring and he's going to keep it forever. But she's a little bit surprised. So initially startled, Portia recovers her composure. Then she takes the ring and tells Graciano to thank Bassanio for it. She takes the ring and tells Graciano to thank Bassanio for it, but declines the invitation to dinner. But she says, no, I'm not going to join you for the dinner. Then she asks him to show Nerissa to Shylock's house. Then Portia, that is man in disguise as man of law, tells Graciano to show Nerissa, that is the page boy, that is the clerk of Balthazar, that is Portia, to Shylock's house. In an aside, Nerissa tells Portia that she will try to trick her husband into giving her his ring. Even Nerissa says that no, even I am going to trick Graciano to give the wedding ring. Amused, Portia looks forward to hearing their husband's excuses when they return to Belmont without their ring. So both are very much eager and amused to know what will be the answer of their husbands when Portia and Nerissa ask for their wedding rings for them. Nerissa leaves with Graciano. Graciano does not know that it is Nerissa, his wife, and not the clerk of Portia. Hope you all have understood. That is Act 4, Scene 2 of this wonderful play, The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. So in the coming session, I'll be explaining about Act 5, Scene 1, that is outside Portia's house in Belmont, as well the summary. Hope you all have understood this particular Act 4, having two scenes, Scene 1 and Scene 2. As I told you in the beginning of this session, that Act 4, Scene 1, that is the trial scene which takes place in the Court of Justice in Venice, is a very, very important act and scene from examination point of view. So dear students, concentrate more on this particular Act 4, Scene 1 as well Act 4, Scene 2, which is also equally important from examination point of view. Thank you.